Hi friends, welcome back. So, question for you, is diversification for suckers? And should you just forget about that entirely and just go all in on your favorite crypto coin, meme stock, or why not Tesla? That's the subject of today's video. And unfortunately, this is the stuff that the kids are watching, essentially encouraging everyone to YOLO and FOMO. This is a headline, guys. It says here, Elon Musk promotes concentrated portfolio with just Tesla stock to a former employee who said, quote, every time I diversify, I lose money. And there's this culture out there that you just need to put all of your faith in one person at the whims of one particular CEO, Mr. Musk, and all of these social media accounts are promoting him in that on his platform that he owns. And this is what it was. Every time I diversify, I lose money. This person, Jason DeBolt's like, oh yeah, all in Tesla, 2013, join us, right? And then Elon Musk, this is sort of where the headline comes from, is giving the high fives and essentially 465,000 views to said conversation. Then you have accounts after that. It says, agree, this is why, that is why I'm all in Tesla. Mars resident says, hodl Tesla and go back to Tesla to earn more. And then Foss guy says, my husband keeps yelling at me to diversify and I just ignore. All in Tesla is my story. And I want to be clear in this. Don't trust everything you see in social media. When you see many hot girls here, right, saying, oh yeah, I go all in Tesla. Who knows if this is a real account? Who knows? I mean, you really don't know. Or someone named Mars Resident with an Elon avatar, right? Is that a real account? Who knows? I mean, is this a bot or whatever? Even with blue check mark, these things, you have no idea. Tesla China Vancouver owner, who knows? Again, someone with a Cybertruck as their avatar. This is the kind of stuff you got to be very careful of, especially in today's social media. You just don't know, and these kind of people generally aren't going to have your back if they're saying, hey, just go all in on one thing. And I want you guys to point this out. It's not just social media. Wall Street, right? So this is a movie I always mention all the time. If you haven't a chance to see it, please do. It's called Margin Call. Kind of goes over what goes on behind closed doors at Wall Street. Or take a look at, say, something like Bitcoin, what goes on behind closed doors in the crypto universe space. This is Ray. That is a documentary over at Netflix. Please watch if you haven't. I was thinking about this today because you had these headlines about Elon promoting to go all in on Tesla, and moreover, I understand that people are struggling out there. I really get that. I totally understand. And there's people that think, okay, I need to find a way to get out of my predicament, and why not sports betting, right? Which is kind of the same as like betting on Elon Musk and Tesla or Dogecoin or whatever. That's honestly, a lot of people are sucked into this kind of world. That's much of what you see on social media is kind of encourage people to do this stuff. It turns out, and this is sort of why I cover this stuff, is to inform you and protect you. It turns out these sports betting companies don't have your best interest. Surprise, surprise. And I guess if you actually start winning, they will limit the amount of money that you can bet, right? They'll be like, oh my God, this person has figured out the system, to betting on baseball. Or they mentioned in this, I didn't even know this, but I guess you can bet on darts. You can bet on table tennis, but the darts one was like, oh my God. I had no idea how bad it was. And I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can bet on bowling and any sport under the sun. I'm sure that is a thing. And I'm really warning you guys just to be careful out there. I know I'm making a joke here, but I know that some will say, "Oh, well, Chris, I'm diversified in stocks. I have Tesla stock, I have Rivian stock, I have Neo stock, I have Lucid stock." Right? So essentially, what they're saying is they have all electric vehicle stocks. They think that's the future, so then therefore they just buy a different type of electric vehicles. Or another joke I'll say, people say, "Oh, Chris, you're so dumb. I'm all diversified with sports betting. I bet with FanDuels, I bet with ESPN Bet, I bet with DraftKings." And another person's like, "Chris, you're so dumb. I diversify with lottery tickets. I buy my lottery tickets at Walmart, 7-Eleven, S-Mart. I shop smart there, right?" I hope you guys get my point of view on this stuff is that, buying the same thing at different places doesn't mean diversification. You got to be thinking about different things. And this is something that I want to emphasize as well. Safety nets in the future may not necessarily be there. There's another interesting article, again, I want to keep you informed, regarding Social Security. And if you ask young people these days, so people who are still working, right, people who aren't retired, 47% say, and I have it right here in the Gallup survey, don't necessarily think that Social Security is going to be around. Now, my personal point of view on this stuff is just looking at math, I think it's going to be tough to sustain the current system as what it is, just because you have a lot of old people retiring and not enough young people working. It's just simple math. It is not unusual just to the US. It's happening all over the world. There was just a period of time when people had more kids, and now we have less kids, right? It's math. And so we can see it coming. And now it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go away entirely. And I said, and I want to show you some numbers on this stuff, but I will say I don't disagree with the people that say, hey, just do planning without it, talking about Social Security, because then if it does come, you're going to be fantastic, right? You're going to be better than you were, and chances are, better plan without Social Security. I think is not a reasonable way to think about it, and so then you'll have more money in the future. This particular person, and I know some people are bitter about the Social Security situation, and I was reading this quote here. This person says, "It's like paying a very expensive toll on a bridge that's collapsing before I can cross." I thought that was a really interesting way to put it. And then he's just saying, he thinks that his parents and grandparents are going to be able to enjoy it more than he can. Here's another quote here. This person said here, Amanda, it's coming a couple people here, said a financial advisor was baffled by the desire to plan for retirement with no Social Security, right? So that's what these people are doing. They're saying, I'm just not going to plan Social Security. Let's figure out a way to retire without it. And then I want to caution you, though, because even though I think it's reasonable to say, hey, make plans that maybe you're not going to get as much, doesn't even necessarily YOLO on other stuff, because then the person says, hey, we're doing mutual funds, gold, and crypto. I understand. Among young people on social media, crypto is really, really popular. I completely understand. I'm not into that stuff. It's not me. I think it's a wild gamble. But to be fair to these people, at least they're going to different things: gold, crypto, mutual funds, right? So don't think that, let's say, for example, your crypto, say, oh, Chris, I'm diversified. I have Dogecoin, Catcoin, Bunnycoin, and etc. 100% in crypto, right? If you're going to do crypto, just keep it a portion of your portfolio, not 100%. I hope you understand. That's clear. And again, this people are saying, we'll plan like we're going to get nothing, talk about Social Security. I hope we get something, but then maybe we'll have enough, right? So I don't think that's unreasonable, though, to just don't necessarily plan on full benefits of Social Security coming in. This is some real numbers that at least, well, I'll say projected numbers that some people are saying here. It says, still, if Congress doesn't shore up the program's finances, projections show that it could be able to pay out 83% of scheduled benefits in 2035. So at least going forward, at least a few years, you can see, okay, there's going to be some money, being paid out, but not necessarily the 100% of what we think it's going to be, but it doesn't mean zero. The worst case scenario for a worker currently in their 20s and 30s likely be receiving about 25% less benefits in that plan. So meaning that, okay, maybe going forward you can only get 83% of what your grandparents or parents get, but worst case, maybe it's going to be 75% of what your grandparents or parents get, or whatever. Still, I don't think it's crazy though to just, who knows if these numbers are off, right? Just I wouldn't count on it necessarily, and I don't think it's a crazy thing to say. Just plan on a retirement. Hopefully you get Social Security. I don't know how much it's going to be, but I do see that there's a iceberg coming up ahead in terms of the too many people retired, not enough workers kind of situation. Also, too, you have people living longer. It's just math. Moreover, I understand, because we talk about this stuff on Channel of the Time. What's the Fed doing? Is the Fed going to come save you? Is it going to make everything better? Okay, so the Wall Street narrative is that once the Fed cuts, everything will be great, and we'll go back to the rapid bull market, and everything's going to go up, etc. I think it opens up a whole ball of wax of, it may not necessarily cool inflation if you suddenly give everyone a bunch more buying power, or increase, or encourage businesses to, borrow more, or encourage real estate people to borrow more, etc. I just wouldn't necessarily count on that. Moreover, our Fed rate isn't that high actually right now in comparison to the history. If you look back to say the 1970s, 80s kind of thing, I mean, interest rates were quite high back then. I think, what are we at, 5% or something like now? I find this whole talk like we have to cut to get things going in a bit crazy, to be really frank. But I understand it is a narrative that Wall Street is pumping. I get that, and they've been putting pressure on the Fed. And moreover, I talked about this before, but I want to mention it again because there's another article that came out recently, and this is sort of about turning the money sprockets on, getting things going again. Headline: Goldman challenges Fed's demand it hold more capital after stress test. Bank appeals against regulators' conclusion that it would lose more than $40 billion in worst case scenarios. And so basically, Goldman Sachs is lobbying like crazy so that they don't have to hold that much money. The Fed is like, trying to write rules of like how much banks need to have reserve, and the bank's like, hey, I'm going to lose money if I don't lend out money and keep those deals aflowing. But this is the sort of situation to where if you don't worry about regulations whatsoever, the banks are going to run wild, and we've seen this stuff before. Be very, very careful out there. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. And I don't want to be like, hey, the whole system is going to melt down and you're going to have nothing, that kind of thing. I don't want to give that implication. I want to give more the implication of you can't necessarily count on the system being there to back you and just give you free money. Who knows what they're going to do? Or if people are promising you free money and no risk, that kind of stuff, be always questioning it in that. I read this and I think this kind of thing isn't talked about enough in social media because I guess frankly it's maybe too depressing for people or too sad, not exciting enough. But I think this is a real situation that people are in, and I'll read the headline and I'll kind of explain what I mean by that. And I kind of want to illustrate this particular person, this person 62, because I want you to know that you're not alone. This person says a boomer lives on $2,600 monthly from Social Security and his Walmart job. And he says here, if I had 1 million, I don't know what I would do with it. The basic story of this person, they work 2 or 3 days a week at Walmart. They make like $800 every couple of weeks, so that's $1,600 a month from Walmart. And then they, I think they get like $1,000 from Social Security. They don't really have that much in savings, is what they describe in the article. And he says the Medicare, I think he pays like, was $150 a month or something like that. He doesn't have any dependents, so he doesn't take care of anyone. So he's able to keep his expenses down, and then he lives like a cheap part of Pennsylvania, and they were saying it was like 26% lower than the national average in terms of living expenses. The reason why I'm mentioning this person, and I can show you some of the stuff that I'm looking at, so I'm not just making around stuff up. Here he says he lives alone, doesn't have a car, he rides public transit, etc., or gets a ride from a relative. And he's talking about this is numbers as a whole. Census Bureau population survey, more than half of Americans over 65 have an annual income of $30,000 or less. This is a very, very complicated topic, right? Because you can see it shows that there are a lot of people who don't make that much, just don't have very much, and also don't have a lot of savings. I sober up when I say this stuff because I think this is a sad situation if people didn't plan for the future. And that's sort of why I'm trying to, get you guys to be thinking about this all the time. And the mindset I want you to be thinking about is don't think, hey, I have to bet all of my, hopes and dreams on one person, be it Elon, or I have to bet all of my hopes and dreams on the New York Yankees, be it sports betting, or all my hopes and dreams on whatever Shiba Inu, and hope that that's going to go to the moon and that'll get me rich. Unfortunately, this is just how it is. Sometimes things take a while to build up, right? Because what people want to hear is that they're going to be rich tomorrow. But if you have to think of like your investment in yourself and investing in your retirement as being a long-term plan that you start today and you keep building up over time. I just give you some examples. Sometimes people are like, okay, just tell me what to do. That's what the average person wants to hear, is like, tell me what to do. So for example, if you keep upgrading your job skills all the time to make more money, that's going to help you considerably. If you control your spending, so you're spending less than what you bring in, that's going to help you considerably. If you pay down your debts, that will help you considerably. If you throw some money into an index fund, S&P 500, that'll help you considerably, right? I'm giving you more than one thing to think about. Also, too, if you throw some money into CDs, buy some bonds, that will help you considerably. I'm completely against this, into the YOLO into one thing and forget about diversification. But I understand completely. If you watch social media, that's sort of the pumping that they do. They like, oh, you got to have this fancy sports cars and all that kind of stuff. And this particular person here, that his name is George, that they sort of illustrated in this article, is saying, even if I had $1 million, I don't know what to do with it. Meaning that he's pared back his lifestyle enough to where he lives below his means. He doesn't even make that much now. I know, probably you want to aspire to a little bit better, higher lifestyle than George, but there's nothing wrong with the way George lives. I think George's philosophy is totally fine, though, to where just live below your means, and you don't necessarily need the newest car all the time. You don't have to live in the biggest house all the time, and you don't have to bet everything on one particular horse, right? So, and for someone like a George, and this is just my personal opinion on these things, for my, I guess, political thing or whatever you want to say it, I just hope we can create a system to where we make it so that healthcare is affordable for a person like George, right? I think that helps everyone. Keep it so that our public transit is available for people like George, and these kind of things, right? If you understand what I'm saying, just create a system to where yes, maybe they're not going to have the newest Porsche or Tesla or BMW or whatever, but at least they can eat healthy food, live a healthy life, and continue on. We create a system where he's going to be okay. He might not be living the life of luxury, but he's going to be okay. And I hope you guys understand this. And I say this in all sincerity. I met my mom after 48 years, and she was she unfortunately passed away from cancer recently, but she was in a similar situation as George. And because of the way that the system is, just healthcare was too expensive for her. And so she just didn't really go to the doctor all that much. And it's a really long discussion, but I'll just say I've seen it firsthand, the struggles that the elder people have, and I want to just tell you, you have to plan ahead. And this is also just talking about the same situation I've mentioned before on this channel, but my Vietnamese side family, which again I lost them at the end of the Vietnam War, and I found them recently. But these kind of people, I mean, they gambled all their money on just risky stuff and lost it all in the dot-com bubble or the financial crisis, etc. Like, I just kept hearing story after story of this kind of nonsense because they believe charlatans on social media or whatever. I know this stuff can happen. So anyway, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying with these things. I know these messages aren't fun or exciting or flashy like other stuff you hear on social media. Everyone just wants to hear how you're going to get rich with the New York Yankees or with Elon Musk. But I just try to tell you the truth on these things, and be careful out there. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next video.